Rich people are greedy. Now, before you get all excited and think that I'm one of those people who hates on rich people, well, I'm not. I believe that if you work hard and you become successful and you get rewarded monetarily for that, become a millionaire, something like that, then I am happy for you and blessings to you. But at what point does enough become enough? Or does enough never become enough? And to satisfy your appetite for success and for money, you start creating a hardship for other people by default. That's what I want to talk about in this video. So I was reading an article from a well-respected source on all things financial, and the article was about the top 10 traits of billionaires. And I wasn't surprised by anything that I saw on this list. And the top trait was an insatiable desire for money and success. I mean, these people are wired to achieve. They're wired to be successful. They are wired to get money. It's just like it's in their DNA. It might be one of those things that you are born with or you develop at a very young age, because these people are driven by it. Another common trait about billionaires that the article mentioned was their constant dissatisfaction. They are never satisfied. They never become complacent. As soon as they make their millions and become successful, they don't celebrate it. They just go right back to work to create more millions and more millions. These traits are not all bad, but they can easily lead to someone becoming greedy by default. And that's great for them, but it is dangerous for regular people like you and me. So let's think about how money works for a billionaire. Let's say a billionaire has $1 billion worth of assets, which could be businesses, stocks, real estate, natural resources, or whatever it is that they invest in, right? And they're just generating a measly 5% annual return on investment. And then let's say you have your 401k from your job or some type of stock portfolio of $1 million, and it's generating 5% annual return for that year. That billionaire is going to make $50 million. You are going to make $50,000. That billionaire has all of the cars, all of the houses, all of the yachts that they can buy. I mean, they already bought that stuff already. So that's not where they're going to spend that $50 million. So the only thing that they can do with that $50 million is to go and buy additional assets. It's not like they are going to put that money in a Bank of America savings account, a checking account, or a Chase, bank account. No, they are going to go back into the market and consume more assets with that $50 million because they have no other place to spend it. So what does this mean for you and me? It means that they are going to be competing with you for the purchase of assets, and they have $50 million to compete with, and they can outbid you at any time. So let's think about this in practical terms. Remember when the housing market was booming several years ago and prices were just skyrocketing? And during that time, I was flipping houses and I was listing my houses myself as my own agent. Prices were going through the roof. I was getting asking price for everything that I flipped and listed myself. I was getting prices that were over asking by some individuals. Some individuals were submitting over asking price bids and waiving appraisal contingencies, meaning that they were going to have to bring money out of pocket if the property didn't appraise. As you can see from that, there were people who had money who could outbid someone else who may have had less money or less risk, tolerance for certain things. And they were able to basically come in and go over the top of that person and submit an offer that was $30,000 over asking and waiving the appraisal contingency. And of course, you know that I'm going to go with that person, and that's who's going to get the contract to purchase the house. And essentially what that person has done is they've made the prices of housing more expensive, because if multiple people do that, then when someone else goes to look in the MLS to do a comparative market analysis and see, what houses are selling for, they're going to see these houses selling for these inflated prices, and therefore that person has just made the price of the asset much higher. And this is exactly how it happens with billionaires. By investing in large sums of money in assets like real estate, precious metals, natural resources, stocks, they increase demand, which then drives up the price for the asset. For example, when ultra wealthy people decide that they want to invest in some sort of real estate development opportunity, then that's going to drive gentrification in some areas in a lot of instances, right? And the original residents are not going to be able to afford even living in their own neighborhood anymore, because they are going to drive up the pricing of houses, and it's going to drive up the property taxes in the area. And the people who used to live there, they're not going to be able to sustain making those type of payment increases. And eventually they are going to end up having to sell their house. And then the ultra wealthy people are going to come in, buy the house. And before you know it, it's a whole new neighborhood that none of the original people who lived there, they don't even exist anymore. And here's the thing, the ultra wealthy person, they may not even be thinking about anything with evil intent. They are simply just trying to find an opportunity, somewhere to place money, somewhere to maybe speculate for some future growth, because they have this additional money that they have to place somewhere to create a return. And it's harmful to the everyday person, but for that, ultra wealthy person, they are generating an additional return. And from that money, they will go on to consume even more assets. Another example is when asset prices fall during a recession. Then what do you think that ultra wealthy people are going to do? They are going to rush in and buy all of these assets at these depressed prices. So they're going to be able to outcompete you and me because they have all of this money, and they're going to be able to buy those assets. And them rushing in and buying all of those assets, eventually it's going to drive up the price of those assets. And then guess what? They are going to sell those assets back to you and me at a much higher price. And again, we lose as the regular everyday person, not because the person has evil intent, but it's just because that's how they operate. They have to continue getting a return on their money. And the only way they can do that is consuming the assets that you and I are also competing for. And that is harmful for you and me. 30% of the wealth in America is held by 1% of the population. And 60 to 70% of the wealth in America is held by the top 10%. My biggest concern with so much wealth being held by such a small population of people is the social and the political impacts that it has on the people in America. Because with wealth inequality, you see a bunch of negative things, and one of those things being social mobility. It is much harder for people to get out of their circumstances, and you have a lot of people who are in certain positions because of their circumstances in which they were born into. So it just kind of starts to boil down to, if you were born in the poor, population, then it's much harder for you to get out of that population. And now you have just this whole long-term, poverty type thing going on. And then on the flip side of it, it's the individuals who do have all of the resources, and they continue to pass on those resources to their heirs and so forth. And those people continue to be in that small population of individuals who hold all of the wealth. So you just have this constant pool of the have and the have-nots. Also, in the poor population, you tend to see more mental health and physical health problems, because go to a poor hood area, and that area can be poor hood for white or black. It doesn't matter. But you're going to see some crazy shit. Man, you're going to see people riding down the street on motorized wheelchairs like they vehicles. Man, you're going to see people walking around talking to themselves. You're going to see people who got, large, strange humps on their back, missing arms and legs. I'm dead serious. Just go to a hood area and just look around and see. This shit is crazy. And with this big gap in wealth equality, you also are going to start seeing some crazy stuff like civil unrest. You're going to start seeing a huge distrust in the government. You're going to start to see democracy erode. You're going to start to see a disparity in education and opportunity. Now, do any of these things sound familiar to you? Because they're happening right now. I do not have the answers to fix this problem, because it's not like rich people are going to share their money with, regular people. They are not going to be taxed more, allow themselves to be taxed more. And people are going to continue to spend their money with these billionaires to make them even more money. And that is the part that pisses me off, because people have signed up to continue to spend their money with billionaires to make them even richer. And they have elected these political officials who are ultra wealthy. And they believe that these people are going to be looking after them. Like, these people are going to create rules to make you wealthy like them. It is the most insane thing that I've ever heard of. It actually saddens me, but it also motivates me to be more financially literate. It motivates me to want to become more politically engaged and knowledgeable of what's going on with my local government as well as, the federal government. But just getting more involved is one of the things that I want to do because I do want to make a change and I do not want to see things continue down this path because I'm a big believer in if you know better, you do better. So that's all I have for you in this video. If you took something of value, please like and share with your friends and your family. But in the meantime, take care of yourself, be safe out here in these social media streets.